What do you want to talk about cold open?
We don't have to really do it. We could maybe just take some things from,
Just take a sample from.
I'm sure we'll say something
That's going to be a good enough drop.
at some point. So Wade and I came on earlier and did like a test run. So I got him all set up on Zoom. We don't really have background noise issues with you anyway.
Yeah.
Unless JoJo
She's
joins
out. She's out.
Oh, she's sleeping?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We didn't do our little pets, but Wade's also a pet guy.
Oh, nice. What do you got?
Where do I begin? We have chickens. I don't know how many we have at this point.
Wow.
I have an African bullfrog. It's my pride and joy.
Nice.
We have a cat. We have 2 budgets frogs. A tortoise, sulcata tortoise.
Wow.
They're so cute. I love those.
Crested geckos. A lot of these are kind of like my wife's.
What do you call it?
They're ours, but
you call it the menagerie.
The menagerie.
You're
Nice.
Yeah, we have a lot of critters.
That's awesome.
Arch has a very cute dog, Jojo, who sometimes joins the calls. So maybe you'll get to meet Jojo today if you're lucky. Wade, we'll see.
Nice.
Yep. She's out.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kink Positive Podcast. I'm That Bad Teacher.
And I'm Master Arch.
We're a dominant sub from opposite sides of the country that come together every week to share our love of kink and BDSM.
And we'll be sharing our perspectives as a professional dom and a professional educator. This podcast will contain adult topics and themes, so consider yourself warned.
We hope to lend our perspectives as kink professionals, but we are not therapists or medical professionals.
Go follow us on Instagram at Kink Positive Podcast, at Elemental Kink, and at That Bad Teacher. My Twitter is at All for Arch. Find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Kink Positive Podcast for ad-free video episodes.
Are you a bratty top, do you think? Would you say that?
I mean, I like pushing people's boundaries. I don't see it as bratty per se. I like to challenge people's thinking.
I like how you read the first line. You're like, I'm Master Arch. Like, really? So dramatic.
That was high energy.
So dramatic. Okay. Today, we'll be speaking with Wade Madison, one of our favorite leather workers who runs Devilish Devices out of Vermont, where he makes handmade custom gear for the BDSM and kink community. Welcome, Wade.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you very much.
Welcome to the podcast. We're so glad to have you on.
Happy to be here.
So we talked a little bit beforehand where the guys got to get to know each other. So that was fun. But Wade, could you maybe tell us a little bit about your job, what you do, and how you serve the kink community?
Sure. I'm a leather worker, obviously. I make gear. I make mostly collars, but I also make cuffs and slappers, variety of accessories like leashes and hog ties, etc. So yeah, that's what I make, and that's what I provide.
So I've mentioned to you a few times already on the podcast, Wade. You've had some shout outs on here. The first one we did, I had one of your collars on, so I talked about that. And then we were on with Chaotic Kink, and they were asking about your first impact toy. And actually, I said it was from you, Wade, but it wasn't. I realized after I do have a crop. That was my first impact toy. But one of the first impact toys I got was from you. You sent me like this slapper.
Yeah.
So I told the guys, I'm like, oh, that's one of my first impact toys. And they were like, oh, you're showing us up with like handmade gear. Like our first impact toys were like painting sticks or whatever the hell.
Right. We had to go to the tack shop and get walk 6 miles in our bare feet just to get any type of riding crop.
Yeah, I mean, I've been spoiled being friends with Wade and getting to know him through like working together. So we had just done like a collaboration early on. That's how we met. And yeah, just to speak for the kink community and the Instagram community, I've had such good luck just meeting friends on there and resources. So I always share Wade stuff when I can because it really is that good.
Yeah, it's quality. I've never like felt it, but it looks really, really quality. What kind of leather are you using for most of your gear?
Oh, like I'd say about 95% of leather I use is it's like full grain vegetable tanned leather, which is
Okay.
when you think of like, old school like leather working and stuff, it's that stuff. It's really rugged. It patinas beautifully. And
Nice.
it's just incredibly durable, cool stuff.
How does one patina leather?
You just use it.
Okay.
So patina is kind of like the leather is very porous, and so it just kind of sucks in everything.
Okay.
And over time, just touch and rubbing against things, it'll start to darken in the corners, and it'll slowly just darken the leather in general. But every piece develops its own unique patina, and it's just it's something that's just kind of coveted in the world of leather things. Every patina is a little bit different, but generally just I wish I had an example sitting around here, but it starts out, this is just plain vegetable tan leather, tooling leather to be exact. And over time, as this just gets touched and like I said, just kind of rubs against stuff. Like if you have a wallet, like the more you put it in your pocket, it might pick up some indigo from your jeans.
I understand. Okay.
This and that, and it starts to just kind of develop all this character, and it's a thing of beauty.
Yeah. Well-worn leather there's nothing like well-worn leather, be it a jacket or a collar or what.
I really need a new leather jacket, Wade, and I know you don't make them, but if you ever, but listen, if you ever decide I need a Negan jacket,
I'll let you know if I get into that kind of apparel.
I'll tell you.
They say something about leather. They say, good leather doesn't wear out; it wears in.
So there's a place out of Portland called Langlet's Leathers, and they do about 90% of the world's biker leathers. I mean, it's a mom and pop operation. They do customs. It is the best leather jackets ever. Like ever.
I want one.
Highly, highly, highly recommend. I don't even know. They're probably still there. But it was just a tiny little shop, and they did leathers for so long. They did Evel Knievel's leathers. Like it just.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They've been in business since at least the 40s, 50s in Portland.
Really cool.
And just a tiny little mom and pop family shop. Wait list when I had pants done was 8 to 10 weeks. I'm sure it's probably comparable for jackets these days, but it's all custom. It's all cut for you, how you want it. It's the best. Maybe on the dark episode, I'll wear that jacket.
Yeah, we were saying.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an episode in full biker leathers or something.
Similar with Wade stuff, everything is made to order, custom, and you're like a one-man show. I mean, you're a two-person team, but you're doing you're doing everything from start to finish.
Yeah, my wife does the bookkeeping, but I do all the I make everything and design everything. And
and when you're making something that quality, like the individual pieces stand out. Like you're not just having someone factory make just collar cuffs, here you go. You're actually taking the time to design them. You're taking the time to make the specifications, and some of that stuff is so ornate that you post. Like, is it just all stamping or how?
Oh, yeah, a lot of it is it's just embossed. Let me see.
I like the skulls, like the embossing.
I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this, but this is a leather stamp, embossing stamp.
So if you guys,
it's a lot of I just use like a maul,
right?
And you just very carefully, just kind of one by one, kind of thing.
So it's not like a row of stamps. You're putting each one in and measuring it and putting it in the exact spot.
It's a lot of stuff I stamp it in a row, but it's there's just a level of precision that you develop over time, speed and precision.
It sounds stressful.
Right.
It can be, especially if you're using a new stamp, and some stamps are a little trickier to line up. So yeah, it's definitely not something that you do without paying close attention to what you're doing.
Is it a meditation for you to get into a piece that intricately?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I think in general, in creating things, I'm like fulfilling some sort of purpose, you know. This is like what I do. I do get this very like Zen. I kind of go into a trance sometimes when I'm doing it, you know, and it's just, I feel like it's like a bodily function in a way.
Well, there's a rhythm to it, it seems, that you could get into and have the piece laid out, stamp it, have the piece laid out, stamp it, you know, and just.
Oh, yeah. I do catch myself, because I'm a musician and a bassist, so rhythm is like really vague. Like sometimes I'll catch myself and like my tooling will be rhythmic, you know? Like yeah. So if I'm listening to something, I'll be like, I'll catch myself syncing up with, you know, the drums or something. So,
and then what do you do with your old dies? Can you use those as like brands, or asking for a friend?
I'm sorry.
Wait, what's the question? The Virgo and the Virgo moon are like, wait, what?
The dyes that you're using to stamp the leather when they lose their edge and need to be replaced. Can you use the old dyes as a brand, like heat it up with like a dab torch?
I see what you mean. Yeah, actually, I think you can. I think there are some tools. I've never done this, but they do sell pieces that will actually, you can attach stuff like that and it'll heat up and you know, kind of. So, yeah.
Perfect. Cool.
Maybe something to experiment with.
Just, yeah. Asking for a friend.
I get bored one day and just start, you know. Yeah. See what happens.
If you guys go to Wade's Instagram, Devilish Devices on Instagram and TikTok, you can see all of these videos he does of how he makes these different types of pieces. So he'll do like put cool music behind them and make them sped up. And you could watch the process of, I don't know if it would be called like dyeing the leather, planning it, prepping it, cutting off like all the little edges. Wade's work is so precise, and I have shown him things before to make for me. And I've been like, oh, something like this. And I've showed him other people's, you know, whatever, something I looked up on Google or whatever the case may be. And he'll be like, oh, those edges, like the way, like, I can't wait I'm going to make it for you and I'm going to make it perfect. So something great about Wade is that he's a perfectionist in that way. And everything is like just beautifully done, lasts forever. One of our friends left a beautiful 5-star review for Wade and wrote about how everything holds up like the same day as when he bought it years later. Like it's still beautiful, perfect, works well, all of those things.
That's awesome. Well, I want to ask my question that I have. Why collars and cuffs? How does that speak to you?
I don't know. You know, I think collars are like a centerpiece. So I think that's kind of where my mind immediately went to. So the story is when I got into leather work, I'm a fucking nerd. I love like Ren Fair stuff. I like all that. And
he likes
so
LARPing.
But this actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, that's a trigger word for me.
Nice. No, I saw you freeze. I saw you like, wait.
I cringe every time I hear huzzah. But no, I do. I'm kind of like I'm a little closeted in that way. Unless you know me and be like, oh yeah, you're a fucking nerd. But no, like, so the original thought was I wanted to make stuff like that. You know, bracers and leather armor,
and all
all that stuff. And I started posting stuff on Facebook, and a guy that I went to high school with and did some music with, you know, several years after, but I hadn't heard from him in a long time. He like hit me up and he was like kind of a little sheepish about it. You know, he was like, you know, hey, have you ever, you know, made anything like this? He kind of sent me a, you know, picture for reference. And I was like, no, but, you know, I'm happy to make it for you. And he's like, oh, cool. You know, and he just kind of gave me like some specifics that he wanted. And I was very inexperienced at the time, but he really liked what I made. And he was really into the community. And he just kind of took me under his wing, was just like, look, man, if you haven't considered like making this stuff, I think you should. And he kind of just taught me a lot of just, you know, basics about, you know, what's what and how things should be, what people look for. And yeah, that's kind of how I got started into all of this. And I started making more stuff. People started buying it. And for me, it was the response that I got from people that really just kept me making it, because it was so overwhelmingly positive and people are just really warm. And like, I'd get like I feel kind of like self-conscious saying this, but like people like send me emails that got like some handwritten things, just like being like, I really, really appreciate this. Thank you for making this stuff. I'm like, Jesus, didn't expect that.
And
so
I think with Brian, we talked about the intimacy level and the fact that he's making toys for people's intimate moments. Like collaring is so intimate. When you have that connection with someone and you first give them either their day collar, their play collar, or their, one that they wear out in public. And I think that there's something to be said for creating that occasion. And it's like a jeweler, when you get like a wedding band or something, they're putting all the stones in it, they're crafting the gold and doing whatever they need to do. But I think with collars, it's a lot similar because you're kind of going for something that people are really going to stand proudly with and wear with pride.
Right. And I put a lot of I have a friend who kind of initially he used to make like leather shields and stuff out of wood and leather, and he's the first person that ever showed me any thing about leather work, and he was like very detail oriented. So he taught me about beveling edges and burnishing and just getting everything as complete as possible. And I took that, and I didn't realize that a lot of people don't do those things. So I think that's one of the things that sets my stuff apart is that it's very finished. I just everything's buttoned up, and there's a lot of people. I always feel bad like kind of talking about this because I don't ever want to like put anyone down about what they make, but there are a lot of people. I'll just say it seems like they're more focused on production quantity versus the overall quality. And so I cannot leave things unfinished. It's like, I guess like an OCD thing for me. So I've always done it and it's served me well.
Well, that's why I compared it to jewelry, because it is very finished looking and it is very elegant, so to speak. But knowing that you have background in like Ren Fair and SCA and that kind of thing, like that makes sense, because a lot of the leather work that you see in those communities, not so much in BDSM, but more those communities, it is crafted. It is presentation is everything. The corsets you see are going to be more extravagant. The collars you're going to see, that makes a lot of sense now.
And you were already a leather worker, like you said, prior to making kink gear, but to be taken under the wing of someone who's in the community and like explained what's important and why it's important is just so much different as far as the intent of you, the seller, and then the intent of the buyer as well. So like if you're going to buy something that's mainly for fashion, or you're not going to really use it the way that we're going to be using it in kink, like that's a whole other market of people. So I think that's why you have such consistent buyers, consistent customers, people that come back because they know they're getting something that is going to last forever, that is comfortable, that's, like we said, custom and all of those things, versus just going on like Etsy and looking up like pink collar with heart ring or whatever the case may be. And everything's really comfortable as well too. Like again, like kinksters are usually willing to invest in things that are important. And certainly like our cuffs and collars are some of the most important things to us. It's worth the investment, especially just being able to have it put on and have everything be like literally just fitting you exactly. It's not something where you're getting something that's in between or whatever. It's like just
custom leather. There is no greater feeling than wearing custom leather. It's
so comfortable.
It's ridiculously comfortable.
That's another thing I gotta thank my buddy about is after I made him the slapper, I made I think I made 2 collars, and I screwed up the first one. Like I didn't know what I was doing with sizing. I was just using my best intuition. So I kind of like cut my teeth in that department making him stuff. I didn't have to face any
well, it's great as an artisan that you have someone that's supporting you even in like seeing enough potential in you that they're going to invest in you early enough that like mistake pieces they hold with high regard because they know they're your first pieces. Like in the glass blowing community, there's a lot of that, of like people that when they just start out, they fuck the hell out of some pieces, but they're investors and people that believe in their vision are like, I'll take that because it shows like where you were at that time. And it's not an error, it's not a mistake, it's just a testimonial to where you were.
That's our
for
first
sure.
that's our first episode of this podcast.
Yeah, totally. 100% of that. 100% of that. If anybody buys the video on that, then they are definitely in it for the long haul. But no, that's really interesting. And what about like cuffs, like in restraint toys and that type of thing?
Yeah, I make them.
What about restraint devices appeals to you, and what do you make, and what won't you make?
Well, I mean, I felt like cuffs were kind of a natural follow-up to collars, you know. Started like at the collar and just kind of worked into other areas and, you know, made them to match and everything, and eventually like fleshed out sets and whatnot. You know, I have like disclaimers on all my stuff. I don't make things for suspension. And I don't, there are a few things I don't make just because I don't feel like comfortable making them. There are collars, you know, like the ones you pull and it kind of.
Like choke collars.
Yeah. I don't do those. It just makes me nervous.
Yeah. Giving predecessors to a breath play scene.
Yeah.
Like, here you go.
Right.
That's a good thing though. I mean, we respect that, and the kink community, I think, cares a lot about that. And you still are, you know, it's not, you're having consistent business regardless of not, you know, making those few things. But
and I don't think anybody makes a choke collar on the open market that they're like.
I've gotten requests for them. There's not a lot of things that I'll turn down, but that's one of them. And it's
I respect that. I think that's smart.
Totally agreed.
You know, that's something that I don't know. Like if I knew somebody personally and I just kind of knew who they were and it's something they wanted, I don't know, maybe, but probably not.
Well, it's your business. You have the right to say no.
Absolutely.
You know, like that's the best part of working for yourself and knowing, not with arrogance, but like knowing that you provide something that's so quality that good luck finding it somewhere else, like kind of thing.
And that is
the freeing no of just like, nope, won't do it, not interested. And it just, my bank account ain't harmed, my, you know, like I ain't even mad that I have to say no, you know.
I think we all deserve or want ideal clients, and that's something that gives you that, you know, when you have people knocking down the door, you get to choose what you want to, you know. I mean, I have limits too. Like I don't promote breath play with any of my new people, like at all. You know what I mean?
No, nobody should be doing that.
I agree. I mean, like, yeah. So, I mean, that it goes beyond, it goes to education. It goes to professional people, like who like professional DOMs. It goes to people that are making gear, like having those like safety limits. Like, I think people really respect that, if anything. And if they're interested in getting a choke, like they could find that, so you can find that somewhere for sure. But like, I respect the fact that you're not going to personally hand make that for someone out of, you know, for sure.
And I'll just say too, like, I'm not suggesting that anybody else who makes that stuff is, you know, crossing some sort of line or whatever. It's just my own personal, you know, that's just what I'm not comfortable making that stuff. So, you know, but not saying anybody who does is wrong or anything.
It hasn't stopped you. And you also make those hog ties that are great. Those, or how do you call them? Is that what you call them?
Hog ties?
Yeah, that's how you advertise them, right? Those are really cool too.
Hog ties are great.
Those
to have on the hand.
I don't think I have any on hand here.
And if you make those matching, that would be beautiful.
Yeah. So that's what I want. Oh my God, Wade and I have been talking for like years.
What a coincidence! I want you hog tied.
The set that I want. Well, we got
it on that.
We'll have when a plan comes together.
Right, exactly. What a coincidence. You make ball gags too. What a coincidence.
He doesn't actually. Do you not? But what if I been asking
one yesterday?
But what if I've been asking? I didn't tell you to make a ball gag. I told you the other kind.
What? Oh no, you're talking about the
You posted a ball gag?
I made one for my buddy. Remember?
Okay, maybe I forgot. I'm gonna go
He
stop your
just
page
posted
right
it
now.
on his story or on his reels like within the last week.
I don't like how Instagram now does this thing where they don't,
I just
I
got
post-
notification of it.
Oh.
I made one, and it was
I see it. I like
it was
it.
a while back, but it was it was for a buddy of mine who has he's a very large individual in stature, so
Nice.
it's like
Oh,
6'6", and he has like an enormous mouth, so we needed I really had to dig around for the right size and everything. But after making it, I was like, yeah, I should probably introduce these to my catalog. That's generally how my stuff works. I'm very bad at planning stuff out. Like, I'm going to make this, and actually doing it, especially since I make everything to order. I have very little time in between, the stuff that I'm already making and creating new things. So when people request something specific, if it's something I want to keep making, I'll just, take a picture of that item and list it. And
Yeah, no, it looks really good. I just saw it. I liked it.
Mhm.
The purple
Yeah.
one. And it's
Yeah.
very detailed, like on the sides too. Like, that's beautiful.
Mhm.
And that's something that,
Thank you.
God, also like custom made, like, come on, like sizing with all this stuff, especially like you just mentioned, like people who are bigger or this or that, or like whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, even if it's not a body thing, if it's a posture or a comfort thing, like that's like an accessibility, perk as well too. Like, you're able
Yeah.
to make things so custom as far
And
as
it's consistency.
everything. Yeah.
That's something also that I'll bring up is I get a lot of requests for people will, send me messages and they'll ask, oh, I've been trying to find somebody to make a collar. They have like, like their neck is, bigger than average. And for some reason, I guess there's not a lot of people that want to make that. I don't really understand, but I do. So if you're watching this, you need a big collar,
Nice.
hit me up.
Yeah, definitely go to Wade. Let's talk a little bit about how people need to be sizing their stuff. So if you guys go on Wade's website, there are explicit instructions about how to size things. And when you're a business owner and you're doing custom things and you're communicating with different people, sometimes people will measure things the wrong way or measure them the way that they think they should be measured. So like, as someone who's just a customer, I might, measure a collar or a leash on how I think that it would perform based on, what I'm going to use it for, or where I think things are going to land. But when you're working with these individuals that are creating these things, they know where the buckles are going to go, where this is going to go, and that changes the measurements of everything. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? How should people be measuring their stuff? If they're going to get a collar from you or cuffs, what should they do?
Well, Ali, I'm so glad you asked me that question. So all I ask for is the exact measurement in circumference. Very important, circumference. Somebody gave me the diameter once, and that was an ordeal. So normally when people measure for something, they know like, oh, I need to add like a little extra or whatever. Please do not do that. Just give me the exact circumference. And that can be your wrist, of the neck, or the wrists, or the ankles, or whatever it is, and I will take care of the rest. Because, like you said, these are my designs. Everything is positioned. It all comes from my head, so nobody can be expected to know how I, how I orient things. It's very important that you just simply give me the exact measurement.
So when I did this with Wade, he had me measure the circumference of my neck with like a string you could do if you don't have like a soft measuring tape. So like if you don't have on hand a soft measuring tape you would use for this type of thing, you could measure with like a string or something and then just hold it up against a ruler or like a stiff measuring tape or whatever.
Yeah, shoelace or whatever is a substitute, like you said.
Okay.
Ideally, nothing that's like too thick, because this is kind of like hard to explain. But when you put something around your neck that has like any kind of like thickness, there's a little bit that gets lost when you get around to the back.
Yeah. So like dental floss type consistency.
Yeah, sure. Like, dental floss or like shoelace or something like that's good, but that'll be more accurate. It's not like a huge deal, but
I would say it's a deal. Do that, definitely do that. Because I've measured with thicker things sometimes and it's been, I've had to
it gets a little off. I mean, all my stuff. Another thing that people ask a lot, or they're concerned, like, oh, well, if I don't get it exact, it's not going to fit. Everything's adjustable, just like a belt, So there's going to be some grace in there.
That's really nice too, because you could, depending on what you're doing with the collar, whether you're just wearing it for the day or whatever the gear is, like it's nice to be able to move it between tighter and not tighter, depending on how much you want to feel it.
And I'm very accessible. One of the things that I noticed is that a lot of people are surprised that I get back to them so quickly, especially on Etsy. I work with my cell phone like within arm's reach. Right. So if people message me, I usually get back to them like within minutes.
Also,
so if you have like questions, if you're like feeling like nervous about sizing, just ask me. I'm more than happy to work with you and make sure that, everything is as it should be. And with
an order that somebody would put in, like there's room, like they can tell you what they want based on what they've seen on your site, or you also do custom?
I do custom stuff, and a lot of people ask if I like they'll see a collar or something, but they don't see like matching cuffs, or they don't see matching hog tie or whatever, leash. I can make it. Just if you don't see it listed in my shop, just let me know, and odds are I can make it.
I have such a good idea.
Yeah, what's that?
Gucci print.
That's funny. Leather. I thought about that before. I'm like, that'd be kind of cool if I could.
Or Louis Vuitton. Like that would be so killer.
That could lead
Can
to
you do that?
Issues, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think
legally.
you could.
No, just whatever.
You're such you love your labels, Archie.
Man, I'm saying whatever.
No, then killer. Gucci needs to hire this guy to make fucking collars, and then we'll really get somewhere.
Right? That'd be awesome.
That'd be wild.
And the kink community could just stick together and be like, no, we're only buying from small leather workers within our community. You have to hire this guy or these people. We're not going to let big companies outsource our kink stuff, even though they're already doing that. That's a whole other. I've
seen like, I think it was Gucci, like little collars. They look like they're more for fashion. They definitely had like they're like a day collar kind of thing.
Yeah, like definitely more stand-in model than sadomasochism for sure. But
yeah.
Also, go ahead. Sorry, Archie.
No, I was just gonna say the Gucci collars that I've seen. I don't think they had the GG print on them anywhere. Like it was mostly the honeybee, or maybe there was a lion on it or something. Yeah, but I saw
the
those
honeybee is cute.
Yeah, the last time I was in Gucci, I think I saw those. But no, I was watching like the GG or like the LV logo, or like that would be.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah,
that'd be the shit.
I try to avoid anything that might get me in any kind of legal trouble. But
also,
we would never do that. We would never do that. It's a great concept, but it would never come to fruition.
Yeah. Also, those ones from Gucci are not, like you said, they are for stand-in model and not for function. So if you're going to get a collar that you're going to be using for BDSM uses, get it from somewhere that's making it for that reason. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
What? There was something else there, Arch?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I wanted to say too. So you want people to go to Devilish Devices, not Etsy, really, right? So.
Well, I'm happy with either, but I prefer devilishdevices.com.
Go to that. Hey, if you want my stuff, go there.
I need to go pee.
Go ahead. That's fine. Yay! It's a pee break. No, I always give him a hard time. So. That's the pee breaks have become a thing. So you mentioned Etsy before. So can you talk a little bit about the difference between Etsy and your regular site and why you have one? Etsy's really for your international stuff, right?
Yeah, primarily. There are some tax laws that have gone into effect, and one in Germany, unfortunately, not a tax law, but it has something to do with the
shipping and stuff.
How they process like the packaging materials, and it might make sense for a bigger business, but for me it's just it's more paperwork and headache than I'm willing to endure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you're I mean, Etsy's fine. Etsy's great in that they have a marketplace that kind of drives people to you. And I do pay for some advertising there, which is helpful. Gets my stuff out there a bit more, makes it more visible.
So let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of things you offer. So you do leather work, but you also offer vegan options for people. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I have two materials, one of which I haven't actually gotten a chance to work with yet, but I do have it on deck. Most of my vegan stuff right now is made from biothane, which is a let me get some for you. It has like a leather, like kind of texture to the outside. It doesn't.
Oh,
feel
that's
like leather.
that's my collar. That's my collar. That's what I have.
It is. That's exactly right. So it has kind of like a almost rubbery without being stretchy kind of feel. It has a smell that I like, but you know, cut that part. Cut that part out. That might be a little weird.
It's the skin of vegans, though, right?
Made for vegans by vegans.
Right.
Soylent Green, BDSM.
You're gonna be canceled. So anyway, so I use primarily biothane. It's ridiculously strong stuff, fade resistant, very, very durable, waterproof. Great material. It's you can't do much with it. It comes in like these, strips, and you can't really. You can cut it down lengthwise, but you can't cut it thinner, if that makes sense. Like you couldn't divide this into two strips. It has a webbing on the inside. It's kind of like one piece that's kind of folded over. So yeah, it doesn't quite work like that. So I can make leashes. I was actually talking to a customer recently who was asking about vegan options, and she was asking, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do that?" And it's frustrating for me just on my end because I want to be able to tell people like, "Yeah, I can do this, I can do that," but there's just not a whole lot you can do with it other than make stuff like leashes and simple collars. So with a lot of like the vegan options, it's I don't know if it's fair to like really compare it to leather. I think that's kind of I think people might get a little confused by that when you hear like vegan leather, you're like, oh, this is going to be like leather but vegan. And in my experience, I haven't really found anything that to me, at least, that would be suitable for what I make that really approaches leather like that. It's kind of its own thing, which is perfectly fine. Great material. But it's definitely kind of its own thing.
It does feel a little different, but it's just as comfortable for me because I have both.
Oh yeah, it's very comfortable.
I really got it for the color more than anything than it was vegan because it comes in so many bright, fun colors. So I have the hot pink, and that's that neon collection's awesome too.
Does it age the same way leather does? And
not at all. Not at all. No, it's very synthetic. So, but like I said, it is. It doesn't really crack. It doesn't fade. It's a very, very durable. It's a great stuff. If you want just like a simple collar, like a little O-ring collar or something like that, it's great.
Nice.
It'll last forever.
It's cool too because like we were saying, you could customize everything. So Wade's done collars that are like with the vegan leather that's like this bright, cool, different neon colors. Like half is one color and half of a color is another color. So he'll have like blue and black or pink and green, like different color variations, which are cool. Nice. And then you get to pick the type of, if you're going to use leather or vegan, you get to pick out of the colors you want. You get to pick colors. Do you do colors for the stitching too?
Oh yeah, I have different color stitch. The vegan stuff doesn't stitch.
Right.
But as far as leather goes, I mean,
if there were stitching.
There are things like options that I can do, but aren't like listed in my shop. So, if you see like a collar and you're like, oh, I wonder if, I like this, but I wish the stitching was a different color. I can probably do that. I'm looking at a rainbow of thread colors right now. So,
and then down to the hardware too, right? They can pick the color of the hardware. So it's just so cool that it's custom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little more limiting. But yeah,
you have a couple options though.
I do, and I keep. I'm glad you brought up hardware because nickel allergies are a real thing, and I definitely keep a stock of hardware that I can use in place of nickel. Nickel is kind of my default because it's corrosion resistant, and it's just it's like kind of like the standard for this sort of stuff. But I do keep some stainless steel options, brass, some black, like enamel coated stuff. But there are certain things that don't exist outside of nickel. So sometimes I have to like kind of work around. Like locking buckles are very limited in their selection. So, there are times, unfortunately, where somebody might not be able to have a locking buckle in anything but nickel.
We didn't talk about the locks that you have too, the different lock options you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Locking collars. Most things I can put a lock on. Again, like, the locking buckles are limited. So depending on how wide the collar is, like my 1/2-inch chokers, to my knowledge, locking buckles don't exist in 1/2-inch. So, yeah.
So you started out with Madison Leatherworks. Now you're really into Devilish Devices, just taking off, and you're starting a new project now, coming up with fall time. Do you want to talk a little bit about your new project?
Sure. Like most of this stuff, it's funny because I'm not this way in most other areas of my life, but when it comes to this kind of work, I'm very kind of fly by the seat of my pants. So I had this general concept for something that isn't totally fleshed out yet, but I'm building it up and it's kind of taking shape. It's called Midnightmare Apparel, and it's just a way to exercise my inner goth kid. So spike bracers and a variety of other more fashion than function. They're very durable, but they're not specifically meant for any particular thing, if that makes sense.
Nice. What's your inspiration?
I love like dark, spooky, stuff. I'm a metalhead.
Nice.
It's just kind of a way to make more of that stuff. So it's kind of hard to talk about right now because it is in such the early stages, and I'm just kind of, like I said, flying by the seat of my pants. But I'll show you. I've made these things, which are like these little, like, I'm calling them demi bracers.
Nice.
They're like, but I'll throw one on real quick.
Do you have a satanic themed leather set?
I don't have anything made, but I do have. I bought a pentagram stamp.
Nice.
I have figured a way to stamp leather that's not embossing, that is permanent and doesn't, dye doesn't interfere with it at all. So some of that stuff's in the works. Nice. This is one of those.
That's awesome.
Razors. It's slightly big on me, but
that looks badass. That looks really cool.
Cool.
Reverse it around. So it's fun for me. I need to do different things. After a while, like anything else, you start doing something over and over and over again, and it starts to feel a little redundant. So I need to introduce new things to keep myself sane and inspired.
Nice.
So, and then Madison Leatherworks is something that exists right now. I was kind of doing more normal leather things like wallets and belts and stuff like that, but that's a very hard thing to get into. The market's very saturated, so it's hard to stand out, and I'm less interested in that stuff. So
I'm really excited for Midnightmare Apparel. I can't wait, because now you're going to have this whole separate arena now for people who are looking for more of the fashion things, or maybe they're not ready to commit to, more hard gear or, collars and things like that, but they'll be able to get like a taste of custom made anything is good. Clothes, shoes, whatever. You know what I mean? A lot of times people don't have access to that.
God forbid you cut Hot Topic out of the mix. You're totally providing something that, like, the punk that has a little bit of money, or the goth, like, to get an accessory that they can wear to a festival and nobody's seen it before in the pit.
Right. you have those cool crowns too. Like, so you have so many different
yeah.
options. Like if you guys go on devilishdevices.com, you'll see these cool crowns that he has. You have like masks and things, eye patches. Like you could do a lot of cool things with accessories in your field for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just going to say, we were talking earlier, I don't think it was recording, but Arch and I are the same age. We both went to high school in like the early 90s and whatnot. And I was a metalhead. We used to, it was like pre-Hot Topic, or like Hot Topic, like just kind of came about. And, before that, we would just kind of like make our own stuff. We customize our own things.
Right.
And
it was DIY for sure.
It was very much like everybody, like I had my friends, we all had like, biker jackets, and like we, would just put spikes on and patches, etc. At one point,
did you know I was going to ask?
I know you're going there, so I'm just going to say it. I cut out lettering in sheet metal and riveted it to the back of my jacket, and it just said "Eat human flesh."
Fuck yes.
That got me in some trouble.
Awesome. Awesome. I would wear that with pride.
But we used to do cool shit like that. And I know that's not like a dead thing. I'm not trying to be like a boomer right now, but that's kind of like what Midnight Apparel reminds me of, is just making this stuff that you would normally kind of buy, manufactured.
Well, and I think too, like you said, with jackets, like growing up when we did, you could see people's creativity of how much time they put into their jackets. Like,
yeah,
it was such an interesting evolution to see just the classic biker leather turn into accessory, like the canvas for accessories, for painting, for whatever. And just the different punk shows I remember going to and just seeing people's jackets were so intricate.
Yeah, it was like a thumbprint. Everybody had like their own. It was a piece of your identity, and it was. I don't gripe on Hot Topic that much, but it definitely did kind of take away from that. So sometimes you see like, kids kind of emulating kind of what we had, and like I get it. I'm not trying to talk shit or anything, but but yeah. I sometimes I kind of have that instinct, but it was definitely a thing. And I guess all I'm trying to say is that Midnight Apparel is kind of me trying to relive that a little bit.
The younger generations want and need that too. They are so into how we lived in the 80s and 90s and our fashion and all of that stuff. And this is an opportunity for them to get that through, someone who lived it, did it, not just like a big company. Like I think we're all trying to support small businesses these days. So to get something like so authentic and custom from, someone who did those type of things, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a cool idea to have a place
within
for the
true spirit of DIY too, and just bringing that to the masses. And DIY was great, but capitalism steps in, and we all got to make money somehow. Recoup our costs, and that it's an interesting dynamic for sure.
Yeah, the custom aspect is so cool. Did you said eat flesh? I thought it said eat babies or something. Didn't you have something about eating babies, or it was eat flesh?
No, Allie, I didn't. I had.
Didn't you? There's our drop. Didn't you say something about killing babies?
No, it said eat human flesh.
Eat human flesh. Got it.
I'm trying to remember exactly how that panned out. My school was very like they had it out for my specific group. I remember I had these old dangly dagger earrings, and they're made of pewter. Like they were nothing. And I remember being confronted by I think it was the vice principal, and who like ordered me to take them off because she said I could hurt somebody with them. I'm like, you're just fucking with me. Never got them back. We'd always have like our stuff confiscated like that. So I don't know.
The rebellion lives.
So
Can't silence us. Any upcoming events that you're going to be going to, or that you want to talk about, or not really? I don't really know. Are there any coming up that you're going to, Wade, to sell things that people need to know about, or no?
No, I haven't done that yet, but that's something I definitely want to work towards. My biggest challenge is that I have, Devilish Devices it's all like made to order stuff. So when somebody places an order, they're getting in in a long line, and eventually I get to their order. And so it's hard to break from that to make other things because I only have, so much in me.
What is your wait list at currently?
It's about 4 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
I'm usually able to get stuff out on the earlier end, but just for my own sanity, I kind of need just a little
Buffer.
extra,
For me
a little extra,
personally,
because shit comes up too. Sometimes I just
Totally.
gotta bounce. So
Totally.
I have a life.
Yeah.
I don't want something made from someone who's like stressing out over it either. Like I want the person who's making my important gear to take their time with it. And you just got a really beautiful message that you shared. Another 5-star review, someone specifically talking about the wait time and how it was so valuable to, get something that isn't ready in 2 days. And
it's
how
so
they were
fun knowing that it's being made and like waiting every day and knowing secondhand, like, and getting updates, and like that's always so fun.
Yeah, no, I feel that too. It's like I don't want to wait, but I kind of do. It's every day is like, is it going to happen? Am I get that notification?
Yep.
So yeah, but it is important to me that I don't ever want to feel like I'm rushed, and I think I do that to myself sometimes. I put a lot of pressure on myself to execute X amount, just to like stay on track. But being able to like, breathe and take time to like make sure that everything is done, carefully and, made really well is.
And to advocate for yourself as a small business owner, to give that as part of the allotted time that gives yourself 1 week on each side of it, to take for yourself or take your time with it. So you're not, like you said, rushed or just working.
And, I want to add to, just kind of like a general shout out and thank you to anybody that has bought my stuff. I've been doing this full time for the last 5-6 years, something like that. And I have had such a small amount of people that have given me any kind of trouble. Everyone's just been like overwhelmingly like positive and appreciative. And, there's an Instagram page I follow called Small Business Memes. And it's a lot of just people, posting these like bad experiences with customers, but in a kind of a, lighthearted way. And every time I see like their posts, I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have that. I've had some run-ins, but it's been very few and far between. So, big thanks to everybody who's been patient with me and understands the kind of stuff that I make and what it takes to produce it. And just in general, supporting me in staying alive.
Your story is so cool because your life was totally headed in one direction. You weren't planning this at all. This just came from one suggestion from one friend that built, that gave you the opportunity to build a business for yourself and a life that you never planned for, never knew that you would have. And you're contributing to all of us in such a meaningful way now. And you've been totally embraced by this community that you might not have ever,
It's weird. If my buddy didn't hit me up and make this suggestion, I don't know that I'd be doing this right now. I'd say the odds that I would have found the traction that I needed would have been pretty slim. It might have been like a part-time gig or whatever, but when it started picking up, I started getting, quick backstory. I started doing this. I had a really shitty job when I was living in Oregon. And it was at a very nice place where they treated their customers very, very poorly. And we had a family emergency and we need to go to California immediately to address. And I told my boss about it, and he was very not sympathetic about it. And I, we were driving down to California, and I was just thinking about everything. And I remember turning to my wife and just being like, what do you think about me quitting my job and trying to do something artistically? Because I kind of mused about this for years, and I just felt like it was an opportunity. She's very supportive. And
Great.
I remember the next day calling them and just more or less told them to fuck off. And
well, your boss doing that to you, and like another thing, another small thing that pushed you in that direction of running your own business now. And if you guys go on Wade's Instagram page, go on Devilish Devices on Instagram, he has stories where he'll, I really like that about you too. You do a good job of being personable and like transparent with people. So you'll talk a lot about your lives or your life or things you've been through. So if you guys are interested in getting to know Wade, he does have some stories on there about previous jobs, how he got to where he is, and things like that. So definitely go check that out. And you're on TikTok now as well. People can find you. Grandpa, like getting with it. We need to get Archie on there next.
No.
Arch, there are so many good TikTok sounds that make me think of you that we could do that. Like, it's good that you're not over here because I would just have you filming TikToks, honestly.
Before Wade leaves, I want to show him my leather jacket. Hold on.
Oh yeah, let's see it. That's dope, dude.
I love that, Arch.
That was gifted to me by a really good friend when he died. It weighs like 40
that's really cool, man.
That reminds me of Mark. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop
Rest
recording.
in peace, Mark.
I want one, you guys. Who's getting me a leather jacket or who's making me one? Wait.
Langlet's jackets are like 15.
Oh, I gotta go. 7% remain.
Thank you so much, Wade, for coming and talking with us today. Go check out
My pleasure.
at Devilish Devices on Instagram and devilishdevices.com. And you can find us at Kink Positive Podcast.
Don't forget to kink positive.
And see you next Tuesday, cunts.